Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Business Blueprint. I'm your host, Tracey-Ann Rose, and today's episode is called The Self-Care Myth. So make sure that you stay to the end of the episode. We're going to be talking about all things self-care, what to do to actually take care of yourself, not just to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, if you will, when it comes to our health and well-being, but to really go deep with connecting to what our body needs, what our body is calling for in this moment, and how that influences you as a business owner. So make sure that you stay tuned to the end. Today we have the wonderful guest on our show, Jessica Ruth Shepard. And I'm going to read a little bio about Jessica so you can get to know her better. Our guest, Jessica Ruth, is a holistic health coach and practitioner with more than 30 years of experience helping people heal from the inside out. Her work isn't just about nutrition or lifestyle changes. It's about transforming the emotional stories that drive our choices. She's guided people in breaking harmful patterns, honoring their value, and building a relationship with themselves that supports real, thriving wellness on all levels. Throughout the years, Jessica Ruth has trained and collaborated with some of the most respected voices in wellness alongside her deep study of integrative nutrition, polarity therapy, and the Rosen method, women's hormonal health, digestive wellness, and various mind-body therapies. She brings a deep, compassionate, and truly embodied, good-humored approach to healing. Jessica, so happy to have you.
Really nice to be here with you. Yeah.
So let's dive into the nitty-gritty of this episode.
Yeah.
What is self-care really?
Well, it depends on the day, but I think it varies from day to day. And I think it varies depending on life stages where we are at different times in life. It will change seasons like hours on a clock. They're just different ways that I think we can cycle through different variations depending on where we are in life, which has been interesting for me as things have progressed and as we age. So I also think that what real deal self-care is not is it's not about becoming like the perfect version or more polished or more productive or more um people pleasing. It's really about becoming more fully alive and more fully really who you are meant to be without the junk in the way that we all end up accumulating. So more honest, more nourished, more connected with your own humanity. And then from that place, everything can change: your health, your relationships, your work, your energy, your purpose, your capacity to love. And ultimately love is really what we're meant to do and be with ourselves, with others. So I think it's a topic that ends up becoming like not just about surface level wellness tips, which are neat and fun and cute and like really accessible to our brains that have been programmed now to get quick tippy kind of, which is, again, they're not bad things. It's just that it goes a little more skin deep than that. So there's a lot of gold within that. And also because the topic of self-care gets bounced around in a very light kind of way, which is fine too. Laughter can be self-care, but it's not like,
I agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of things where it is simple, and then there's more complex versions of what it means.
So true. So let's dive into that even. Like, what's a simple way that you've noticed your clients learn to practice self-care from working with you, or ways that you practice self-care with yourself?
Well, like I said, it does change over time and or it deepens, or things are brought to the light that I didn't realize before. Same with my clients, I guess. So for some people, it's really understanding what nervous system means. Like, what does that even mean? What it means to abandon yourself, what it means to have emotional suppression, or what being fully alive actually means, or what the word boundaries gets used a lot, but I think boundaries is something that really comes up for people a lot around self-care. I think recovery comes up a lot around self-care, and that can mean recovery from literally. So I always look at categories: mind, body, spirit. So recovery could be right. So recovery could mean recovery from literally like training your body. Let's say you're a endurance athlete or something. Recovery is more important than the actual training. So recovery ends up being the actual what self-care actually means. But then we talk about the mind and the spirit. And so we look at other things around what the connection is there for people. So I hope that makes sense, but it's like you can put it into different categories at different times in life. But those are topics that come up a lot with my clients, myself, around self-care. And also, I think there was one more I left out that I wanted to say, which is overgiving,
Yes.
overgiving, undernourishing. And
Mhm.
I think undernourishing in, again, many categories. A lot of women in particular literally undernourish, and they're taught from a very young to literally undernourish themselves, like somehow less is more. And so really can go into multiple categories. And I like to go through those different categories with my clients and myself. And I think one could do even a daily inventory and just check and see where are the threads around what self-care means. And it's not to say, which is why I think it's worthy of bringing up early on in our conversation, the sort of more superficial version is like bubble baths and having a glass of wine. It used to be like that's
Right.
self-care. It doesn't mean that there isn't a place for those things, a place, but it does not, in my opinion, I really believe those aren't really the things that actually are the deeper versions. It doesn't mean that taking a bubble bath won't help you then to get closer to what some of those
Right.
other self-care things are. Having a glass of wine, I would say, is a whole other conversation, but I would never put that as a self-care category. And it doesn't mean it's bad, good, right, wrong at the moment. I mean, we can have a separate conversation, but I don't
Right.
really have really self-care the way I like to think of self-care. Mhm.
Okay. I think for me, because, I'm definitely resonating with everything that you're saying. It's like there can be these simple entry points. It's kind of like what we're talking
Right,
about. It's like there can be
right.
these really simple,
Gateway.
very accessible
Right.
entry points, but what I am hearing is that intentionality is required. It
Mm.
it has to have some sort of thought behind it. It has to be considerate to who you are as a person. Like not everyone does meditation, sitting and repeating a mantra. Some people
True.
it's a walking meditation that will refill their cup and have
Mhm.
them feeling more in touch with the world and more easily able to connect because I think what people forget about self-care is that true self-care, the self-care that forces us to assert our needs and be authentic is
Mhm.
that it requires, of course, sometimes like you said, putting up a boundary or some level of like separation or maybe asking people for what you need, doing things that are
Yeah.
potentially socially uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
ultimately enable us to connect more deeply with ourselves and therefore others in our environment because we have a regulated nervous system. We have a mind that is perhaps like sufficiently occupied. Like one of my self-care is honestly like Candy Crush because my mind needs
Ah!
a puzzle to
Uh,
solve. So
mm,
work is great, right? But like
so
when you're not
right.
working and your brain is like, "Oh, but I want a puzzle." Like it's like so me and my husband we do like little word quizzes together. We do,
Uh,
and that's my one of my forms of self-care is just having fun and occupying my brain in a
well,
healthy way.
there's a line with that self-care with, like,
Yes.
toothbrush where so on one version, here's where you could notice the difference between self-soothing
Mhm.
versus self-care. And also self-care turned gone too far where you or self-soothing gone too far where it turns into addiction. So self-soothing
Right.
might be, yes, it helps my brain to unwind to do this word puzzle and I spend literally 10 minutes doing it versus someone who says, I can't stop playing. I play into all hours of the night. When I can't sleep, I wake up at 3 AM and I immediately start playing Candy Crush for 5 hours, and I'm looking at a screen late at night. Like, that's when it's gone too far. So for you, you know how to, like, put up the boundary and the parameter around the activity and know that when you do it, you actually feel better. I have a couple category and I think it was a great example you used around Candy Crush because it's so accessible to so many people. It is good for our brains to, like, strengthen our neural pathways and, like, connectivity, and also you're having fun with your partner, and you're, like there's all those things are great. Pleasure and fun and laughter are all parts of what self-care mean in one category, but it gone too far can mean addiction or burnout
Yeah, it can be escapism. Like you were saying, like
and
self-soothing
escapism.
can go too
Yeah,
far where it's
yeah,
no longer.
or avoidance,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
avoiding.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So, and that's interesting too. So, how can somebody tell for themselves where that line is, like where they're crossing into, self-soothing versus maybe crossing into like an addictive state?
Well, one thing is if it's in the way of other natural things that should be happening. So if it ends up getting in the way of deepening a relationship or your sleep or the recovery we're talking about, or you're unable to say no and you should, or you would feel better if you said no, or if it gets in the way of taking care of other things need to be taken care of that are very important to you, if it gets in the way of your ability to ask for help or ability to ask for your needs, or well, anyway, it was a tangent I was going to go on around grief as self-care, but I won't go into that now.
Interesting.
Or like, I think one could know that it's problematic if it's hindering something else that needs to be happening. Like, I use the one about sleep as an example. I think that's a really
Yeah.
good one because sleep is so, 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 so
Oh my,
vital.
foundational.
It's
Yes.
foundational, and it's also deep rest is a form of self-care because so many things happen through
Yes.
our sleep. So many things happen that are necessary for our survival and our vitality. And to even feel joyful and pleasure is requires a good healthy dose of good quality sleep. If it's something that gets in the way of those other things, then So I'm sure if you have to one has to also do an assessment and actually ask themselves, because when we don't, we can easily trick ourselves into thinking it's fine.
And that's where the intentionality is gonna come in,
Yes.
like, for people to
Yes.
recognize, like, "Okay, is this really helping? Am I" and then that's the other thing, it's like, I think when we get into an escapism route, that's when we're not checking in. That's when we're just like, "Well, I'm just gonna do this." It's almost like we reach for an impulse instead of and it might be because we're in a, like, overwhelmed, overstimulated state where we're not able to think clearly, but I think that this is a great time for you to just as a listener, go through those things that have been tried and true for you that have helped soothe you. If you find that you, when you're overstimulated, go like impulsively reach for something that's like not actually soothing to your nervous system or not actually caring and rejuvenating to it, this is a good time to like just write down a short list of like, okay, these are my go-tos, and then have that somewhere safe, like put it on your phone or something, because everyone goes to their phone now to self-soothe. So put it on your phone, put it in your notes app, and just pull it up whenever you need to get back into your body. I
Mhm.
we're, at our midpoint, but I have one question before we go. We'll see how far it takes us though. The spiritual aspect of self-care, like that's something that popped up to me because I think there's a lot of in our community some bypassing. Sometimes that happens instead of actual spiritual self-care.
Mm.
Um do you know what I mean? Where people are like, "Oh, I'm going to, like, manifest this thing," or maybe they wanna manifest a love relationship, but and they write down all the qualities they want the partner to have, but then, like, for example, communication, but then they don't communicate very well, or they don't set boundaries, but they want to have a boundaried, healthy relationship. What do you think about that in terms of, like, spirituality?
Well, I think one version of what you're saying is they're looking outside of themselves instead of inward, and saying it's something is out there versus what's actually going on in here inside of oneself. I think that's kind of what you're saying. So I think the first thing to do would be to really look and see, how am I outsourcing all of these things? Or how am I sending it out as opposed to saying what's right here within already? So that's, I think, a good place to come back to. Some people don't really even know they're allowed to, or that you can do that, or how completely to do that. So I say, if you don't, it's a good time to work with somebody because they can help you. A good practitioner can help you come back to yourself, help you find your way back to you so that you can be with you in a deeper, more profound way, so that hopefully then you attract and what you it is you're seeking. And if you do, great. And if you don't, you're okay too.
Yeah.
Either way, you're okay. Either way, you're okay. It's not You're not relying on the outside to make you okay and whole. And also, this comes back to different kinds of self-care and self-regulating practices around things like pleasure, joy and laughter and creativity and being in nature and finding your own sensuality and being playful and finding, what do you find purposeful in your day? Where are you able to be creative? Where are you able to get movement in ways that are creative and interesting to you? But where are you finding connection? All these things are ways to look at other angles of how to get more in touch with what's within. I think also, if you're having trouble, and you said something about bypassing. So I think you mean, by saying that, you're ignoring something very important within yourself. Is that also what you mean?
That's
So
exactly what I mean.
So I think journaling, believe it or not, can be, I think, a great, doesn't mean it's going to solve everything. I'm just saying to really get the words outside of you. And also, like I said, working with a really good practitioner, therapy, a coach, crying, movement, getting into honest conversations, releasing and working with your own grief, releasing and working with rage and shame and stress and resentments, and being honest with where you are with yourself, and looking in the mirror within. I mean, not like literally a mirror, but um
Yeah.
so I think it's easy. The bypassing is easy now with some of the messaging that goes on, and because we're spoon fed a lot of fast messages now, and they don't really get to the heart of the matter. Like, I have a friend who writes me sometimes. She'll send me like a clip of something on, I don't know, it doesn't matter, social media, video, whatever it is. What do you think of this? And I'll say, well, that's great, but things get taken out of context all the time. And so you have to, within a sound bite is nice, but a sound bite should only be a doorway to a greater opening. A soundbite is not going to be really likely enough to you to go further. The whole idea is that it helps you open something up to go a little further with whatever that thing is. It's not the thing. It's just hopefully the gateway.
I love that. I feel like that definitely needed to be said because I think a lot of as I've noticed, like, a lot of spiritual people, they're always, like, looking for a sign, and so sometimes that sign is a reel, right? It's a TikTok,
Yeah,
and
right, right,
but
right,
that
right.
can be just, like, the invitation into deeper self-awareness, deeper self-care, rather than it being like, the end destination.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a difference too between a breakthrough moment and something that's actually transformative. The breakthrough is great,
Absolutely.
but it's a spark, and we want it to then unfold into like something that's actually rooted in sustainability.
As a Taurus rising, I feel that 100%.
Ah, nice.
Okay, Jessica Ruth, that was such a great point. This is a good point in the show to remind people if you guys are seeking a deeper sense of self care so that you know that you are supporting not only yourself, but your business and any other connections that you may have in your life, this would be a great time to book a call. You can find one in the show notes. I've actually changed my things around a little bit. I'm no longer doing sales calls, I'm actually doing sales constellations. This is based off of family constellations where we'll do a blind constellation to decide if it is in your highest and best good to work together. So if you're hearing something that you like, but you're like unsure, this is the option for you. It's free. You get to explore family constellations and we get to connect more deeply. So click that in the show notes below or in the wherever you're listening. So back to our conversation with Jessica Ruth. So
Cool.
I'm really loving everything that you're saying, especially about some of the deeper aspects of self-care. Like you mentioned grief, you mentioned working with shame, rage, and pleasure, which is huge. I love that you have these modalities under your belt and you've helped so many people heal from so many different illnesses or issues around their body and their wellness. I'm sure you've seen some amazing transformations. Are there any stories that like still blow your mind that you want to share?
Oh my God. Still blew my mind. Yeah. Oh God. I wish I was having one right off the bat that there's so many. Let me think
One of
about
your
some.
favorites, maybe? One
Right.
like, just
I think one of my clients, when she realized, yeah, stories are everything. Um, she was doing a lot of body shaming, and she came in thinking our work was one thing and it turned out to be something else. And I think one of my favorite story from working with her, I think there's favorite stories with working with everyone really, but that she realized that the thing that she had been shaming in her own body ended up being the thing that not only was supposed to be there, like she's supposed to have this quality going on, but that it connected her with this connection she was seeking with her mother in a way she never realized was there. Then because of that realization of that connection with her mother, she completely wrote the story about not liking that part of herself because it was a symbol of this deeper connection with her mom. And so she was able to see this thing about herself that she was spending years of her life hating, realizing what an incredible gift it was because it kept her connected with her mother, who she loved very much. And so it went away. Like her disturbance with it, the way it bothered her, the way it's made her feel shameful or sad or ugly or wrong or whatever stupid story that was not so stupid because culturally she was told a certain message, which a lot of
Yeah.
us are told messages from our stupid culture that you're supposed to be a certain way.
Yeah.
But when she realized this is literally the gift that made my mother, and also the gift that something about her mother could never be accepting of with herself, but that she, my client, could find in herself to be accepting and loving and connect with her mother, and that she's supposed to have this thing because it's what makes her actually a woman. Like it's actually there's a purpose for it being there on her body the way it was. I don't
That's
even
so
have to say what it is. I don't even have to say that. I mean, if you want me to, I will. But it was like this really because she'd spent years beating herself up about the thing,
yeah.
and that she's like, I can't believe how much time I wasted beating myself up when all along it was there to keep me connected and safe, connected with my mother and safe and like vibrant, actually. It served a purpose. And so she never realized that because she was always looking outside of herself at at whatever billboard or who knows what,
Right.
to tell her something else.
Well, I love that so much. I mean, as you were telling the story, like right before you sort of did the reveal of like it being similar to her mother's body, I have something similar. Well, I don't, I guess I never bemoaned it the same way that my mom did, but like me and my mom, like we just have like thicker forearms. Like I don't think it's a big deal, but my mom hates it. She hates it. And I remember like as a child loving that part of her body, like finding it
Yeah.
very comforting
Yes.
and, like, so soothing to, like, touch and, like, stim with basically, and but she hated it, and she hated me touching it even, and, like, I was like I think I picked it up as a kid, but I didn't take it on, which is really nice. So my mom still like, I can tell she's, like, has feelings about both of us having this part of our body look the way it does, but I don't we don't have to let that take away from our self-worth, I mean, our value, how we see ourselves, how we put ourselves out there, and what we perceive as, like I've noticed a lot of women who feel like they don't have the perfect body or the perfect face feel unsafe. Like, if they put themselves out there, like, they
Mhm.
have a narrative that it's not safe for them to be seen if they're not perfect in their appearance.
Very true. Well, so to bring it back to the self care thing would be being willing to learn that a new story is possible with the way that you had been telling the old story, that it's not necessarily what you've perceived it to be. And that I think being willing to do that and being willing to start to reframe what that is. And it doesn't mean that it's not required to keep doing things on behalf of your wellness, that's great, but
Mm,
not to say, like, you may do all the right things and or whatever that even means for you, and you're
right.
always have your forearms be exactly sort of that version, unless you did something so dramatic that you became unwell, and then why would like, just for your forearm? Like, what? So you
No.
have
Yeah, no, thank you.
that version would be, A, the willingness to start to rewrite your stories, but also the willingness to receive a certain help, care, or support to help guide you to finding that you're allowed to do that. And also maybe even a version where you say no to a part of yourself that's thinks it's keeping you safe by telling you the old story and
Yeah.
protecting you from something else, that it's not really doing its job anymore, a part of you.
Yeah, it's become
So those are all
maladaptive.
that's like another way to say that story is about self-care and is about maybe that you then that maybe the bubble bath that's a little bit more superficial is when you're in the tub and you like massage them and talk about how strong they are, or that you notice how your child like grabs onto your arm and is like squeezes at your arm and loves you because whatever, you like something else that helps you
Yeah.
connect with your body in a new way. So I think self-care on that related to that story is like the willingness and maybe even to grieve parts of yourself that spent a long time hating yourself, and what a waste of time that was, and how sad that you spent years of your life in hatred and shame of something that didn't need to be.
The
So you
energy, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it could go in so many directions. I could tell a story about every client, some version of where self-care was truly the way through. I mean, the way through self-care was even deciding they were going to receive support and care to go on do this kind of work together is a big step in taking care of oneself.
You've made your first 10K, but now you're feeling stuck. You're feeling stagnant in your business, but you want more. You want consistency. You want to bring in 10K months, not just 10K years. If this sounds like you're probably already working with coaches or in group coaching programs where the strategies just aren't clicking for you. They require more time, more energy, or they simply don't feel in alignment with where you are now. That's why I created Soul-Centered Success, my 6-month signature program for coaches who are ready to tap into their intuition and create a business that is sustainable and profitable, all based on you. You are the foundation. So based on your body, meaning your physical capacity, your brain, your nervous system, and previous conditioned habits, as well as your soul's blueprint, your astrology, human design, numerology, etc. So if this sounds like you, please go ahead and book your intuitive strategy call. The link is in the show notes. I'll see you there.
Seriously. And I think that deserves to be discussed because I don't think that that is talked about a lot, about like why it is important to invest in somebody who is present for you, who is a third party, who can look at the outside and sort of reflect to you more of yourself, but not in a way that's trying to control your perspective, but in a way that's shining a light in a blind spot, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we all have them. We all
Oh,
do. We really,
absolutely.
really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the thing about I'm going back to the Candy Crush thing. The blind spot we can have with ourselves is if you were to literally not know how to play that game without losing track of hours of time, then
Yeah.
you would have to say, another part of you would have to step in and say, I have to actually put a timer on my phone now so that it literally is, I have to self-impose a boundary so that it's 15 minutes instead of getting lost because my brain just, that's what I do. Like I get into it and I just can't stop. But once you start putting those parameters, you retrain your brain, create new neural pathways around some of the timing of things that can help to, not get lost. And so then that act of self-care is not one that turns into the other.
And I think something else that I was hearing when you were speaking is that I think, and it just, or maybe it just came to me, but like as you were talking about putting up the boundaries with ourselves and maybe a self care journey where we're like, ooh, we got a little overindulgent there. I think that also benefits others in learning. You can put boundaries with yourself, you can put boundaries with other people. And something else I kind of wanted to dive or briefly touch on is boundaries. Um, because I feel like there's a misunderstanding that boundaries are something that you get somebody else to do. Whereas boundaries are more so you're saying, okay, this is what I need. If you are not able to fulfill this need, this is what I will do. Because I think a lot of people are like, well, I told my mom that if she complains about my job again, that I'm going to, she can't come to dinner or something like that. But it's like they don't, I'm trying to think of a better one, but
They
essentially they
abuse
expect the other person
Oh, right. To hear
they
it.
expect the other person to almost like take the consequence and enact the boundary when really they have to take the final step to like boundary. Yeah, it's an action that you take. Setting a boundary is an action that you take.
You have to enforce it. Right.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm. Have you noticed that for yourself anywhere that you've enlisted a boundary, whether it's with your kids or your partner or with your
Mm.
work schedule or with a client or, what something, for example, like maybe it is with a client where that person is not going to be, it's your job as a practitioner to watch the time. It's not the client's job. So if you're continually saying, oh, we go overtime a lot with you, well, you're allowing it to happen. So you have
Right.
to be
Yeah.
one to then look at the clock and say, we need to stop now, or something like that. So that's or like with a child, they're not going to do it. You're going to have to tell them multiple times. And so you have to, one, ask to do that with themselves, not just with a child, but almost to treat it like you would with a child, like knowing that you're the one that's in charge and has to continue to enforce them. Don't outsource relying on that person to do what you know is the right thing to do. One has to do it
Yes.
for themselves. It's it is a self-responsibility, and I do think that part right there is an act of self-care. When someone violates a boundary in terms of codependency, one might unfortunately like make an excuse. Oh, they didn't mean to. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, oh, just this one time. Or, oh, I made the boundary and they're overstepping. Like, I understand they're tired, or I understand whatever it is.
Right.
But meanwhile, you're getting depleted. Meanwhile,
Yes.
you're getting worn out. Meanwhile, you're experiencing burnout, whatever it is. That's because that other person is living out their story and projecting it onto you. So you have to be the one to say, no more. Not easy
Exactly.
always. Not easy
No,
always.
no. Not
But
easy, and I think have scripts for yourself. Like, that's what I do. If I know I'm going to enter a situation with somebody who doesn't necessarily consistently respect my boundaries, I have, like, a script ready or an out ready, like an alarm that will go off that's like, "Okay, I have 20 minutes to say goodbye," like, and I'm going to leave to go rest or whatever I need to go do.
yeah, that's a very good example. I have a friend who always wants to push it further. And I pretty much, the only way I can have the boundaries if I have plans that I let that person know in advance that I have to leave for. And if I don't, then it will be just like, it will just go on and on and on. So I've just learned I have to do this as the boundary. Like, if I don't, it will not be enforced by that person. They're not looking at my
Right.
schedule. That's not their
And they're not
job.
and that's not yeah, exactly. That's not for
Yeah.
them to do. Like,
No.
that's why boundaries are self-care. That's for you. It's for yourself. I love
Mhm.
that.
It's
Oh,
a
I
really
did
important.
I see okay. So, I wanted to mention one thing before we close. We're both, like, kind of into astrology. Um, have you seen any times where astrology comes in and oh, yeah, this is a better way to ask it. Have you
Please.
seen people utilize their astrology for their self-care?
Well, you are more the expert on astrology. I just dabble in it, think it's fun and interesting sometimes, and kind of I think it's an interesting way to get some perspective or to be thoughtful about something or to consider something. But in terms of it being very direct around astrology impacting a wait, so say that question one more time. Astrology impacting an act of self-care or a
Yeah, so maybe impacting how you experience self-care, like how you're genuinely able to receive it. And we can do it like based off of your sun sign. Like, has there been
yeah,
something, yeah, that you're
yeah,
like, oh.
right. So go well, say it. Say what you're going to say. I'm curious. I think I'm thinking of it the way you're meaning for.
So like, for example, like as a Libra sun myself, I'm like, oh, like for self-care. Really and honestly, sometimes my self-care is being alone to reach my own equilibrium before I go and, like, engage in the world. I need to come in at a balanced space, so sometimes just spending a lot of time alone, dancing, doing intuitive dance to tune into, like, spiritual messages, like, that's a form of self-care for me. It's like finding that balance within allows me to interact with others and find that balance outside of myself.
And how is that a Libra sun characteristic, quality, or connection to self-care? Is it beauty,
So
dance?
Libra typically, the mantra for Libra is I balance. It's the first sign out of the zodiac that has to do with the other instead of the self.
Uh-huh.
And so by honoring your need to connect inwards first, you are then able to fulfill that higher expression of balancing in relationship in a way that isn't imbalanced because Libras are notorious for overgiving, undercharging in business, all of that. So this is a way to make sure that they're or at least I'm regulated first before going into relationship with others to make sure that it's all,
Mhm.
clean and on the up and balanced.
Yeah. I'm a Libra rising, so I guess I have very obviously the way
Yeah.
you described it, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know I know what the characteristics are like." Um Yeah, if I look at it that way, then I would say I could see everyone I know and work with has a connection with astrology, connect with their style of self care and the way that they interplay, or maybe sometimes even the way they are in conflict. So, for
Mhm.
example, if I look at my Aries sun being very fiery and go getter and adventurous and fiery, like passionate and creative, and then the Libra sun that comes at things from a different angle, they can sometimes not in conflict, but they have different messages. So,
Yeah.
I think that it means there's different kinds of self-care to try to stay in check with or in balance with the fieriness with versus the need to be in balance or to not overdo or overgive or leap before I look or something.
Yeah, so I think what we're finding as we're, like, talking it out is that it's some self-care is, like, recognizing where we can go overboard and just putting a little barrier there to protect ourselves and to take care of
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mm, mm, mhm. Yeah, so, okay, here's a good one then in that regard that I have a lot of my clients do, which I think I've attracted a lot of clients that have. So, you know that thing about being tired and wired? And, I've trained myself and helped my clients see this, that when they start getting in that mode of just do more, do more, keep doing, and just keep running on fumes and just go, I usually tell them that that's the cue to actually stop, and as a colleague of mine used to say, "Stop, drop, and roll," but like a fire. But to stop and actually, like, I've trained myself in those moments when I wanna just keep going, to actually stop and go lay down for even 5 minutes and stop that automatic thing of doing, 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 and then once I get up from that even 5 minutes, that anxious kind of overdoing is, calms down. And so sometimes we have to do the thing that goes opposite of what we're
Oh, yeah.
naturally doing, because it's the things we're naturally doing that are usually causing some problems anyway. So we have to do the
So
opposite.
true. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
the habits that will get you, and
Yeah,
that's what we
habits are
have to, like.
everything.
It's so true, and so that's where the intentionality comes back around of just, like, if we can be really clear about why we're doing an action, how we want it to affect our body, how much is too much. If we can be really intentional and checking in with ourselves, then we have a clear-cut guide really to dismantling the self-care myth and really understanding what self-care means to us on a simplistic level as well as a very deep soul-driven level.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Jessica, is there anything that you wanna leave the listeners with? Like any,
Uh,
takeaways?
well, I think it's always great to start asking yourself some questions and start noticing where it is your own body is sending you messages that you're ignoring that need to be paid attention to a little more, because usually your body will tell you something that your mind might not be. So start noticing where you're overriding your body's messages and signals, and your mind thinks it's in charge of certain things. So I think that, and if anyone, I have a whole list of questions that I like to ask people around that I would also leave people with. But those things also aren't always about fully about self-care, but they are too, which is like discovering what actually delights you, what actually lights you up, what actually helps you feel beautiful and alive and creative, what actually helps you to laugh more and connect more deeply with your loved ones. Those things are going to help you come to your answers as well around what self-care is supposed to be for you. But again, listening to your body's messages is always going to bring you back home. So, and also if you aren't sure about some of these things, and if anyone ever wants to reach out directly and speak with me about what's going on, and see if they need some further questioning and further things to look at, I'm always open to the conversation.
Yeah, and, like, tell them exactly how or where they can find you.
Oh, um, well, so I guess you'll put the I guess you'll put ESP. I guess you'll put the my website or something like that.
Absolutely. So all of the links that we're talking about, they're gonna be in the show notes, for you guys to easily access.
My website has all different ways you can fill in a contact form, and I'll get the message, or it'll have my email, or it'll have social media stuff or whatever. But it's jessicaruthshepard.com, JESSICA Ruth RUTHSHEPARD.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the show. I love this
Thanks for having me.
conversation.
I
Oh
did
my
too.
goodness. This is such a
How,
great one.
how are
And
you as a result of the conversation? What do you think it makes you think about for yourself as you move forward with your business, with your day, with your life? What do you think is standing out to you for you?
so this message has been coming in since early this morning. Having more flexibility.
Mm,
So having more flexibility in how I receive self-care and how I approach self-care. So something like if you are a long-term listener, like I have like designated nap times. And I've
nice.
actually been yeah, it's very helpful.
I
But
love
I've
that.
noticed that sometimes I get too attached to, "Oh, like, it has to be at this time." And so
Oh, more rigid.
recently, I was like, I gotta," like, I had like, normally I don't nap in the morning. This is something like I'm starting, but, like, I had a full day. My kids were coming home early or something like that, and I was like, "I need a nap, though, but it's not the time. Like, what do I do?" And then I was like, "You're tired. Why don't you try sleeping?" And so
Right.
I did. It was successful. I felt rejuvenated, and then I took a morning nap today. So it's just like, I think
Right.
allowing myself to find those opportunities more easily rather than
Mm.
to go to like, "No, it has to be this way," or, "No, we can't
Oh,
do this
nice.
because."
Great
Yeah, so
example.
finding that flexibility of, like, just meeting the moment, just meeting my body where it is in that moment without judgment.
So then if one of your items on your list would be under self-care, one of the items would be less rigidity in certain ways and going with
Mhm.
the flow a little bit more and that it's okay, is what you're saying. Yeah,
Yes, it's
that's been big for
absolutely
me over the years.
learning.
Yeah. Mhm.
What about you? Do you have something that, like,
That's
popped up that you're like,
well, the one I just mentioned has been is a great ongoing for me is where I need to relax into some things and not push so hard and where and then some other areas where I actually would benefit me to go a little beyond my comfort zone. For me, sometimes the self-care stuff currently is about actually stepping beyond into things that maybe I feel a little uncomfortable, but in a healthy way that helps with growth is actually a good one for me, which is because ultimately is a form of self-care for me. Also, the one that I notice a lot is where I this has been a big one for me lately, is that my body usually gives me the answer that I'm looking for when I
so true.
listen to it. It's wild actually, like a full body yes is a real thing. And it's been cool to find that show up more and more. And this past weekend, I had a perfect example of 2 things that I both this happens to me a lot where I have many options and I'm like, "I wanna do all of them. They all sound great. They all" and it's not even about a FOMO. I don't it's not about that I don't wanna miss, it's just that I want they all sound fun and great.
Yeah, they all sound
And
good.
then
Like, why not?
but yeah, but so self-care recently has meant that saying no to something, even though there's no apparent and then immediately the full body yes has given me the reason why that other thing, even if it's by a 1%, my body would just goes immediately, "Yes, I want that." So, it's been nice to listen to that more and have it be very fruitful. Very, 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 very fruitful. When I don't listen to my gut over my whole life, many years when I don't listen to that, um, I won't say bad things happen, but bad things have happened. So, like, I do know and I don't mean that I think we're all
Yeah, absolutely.
it was even meant to be that I needed to go through those really yucky things by not listening. But I do know that listening to my intuition has always been, a beneficial thing. So that to me
Oh,
is,
yeah. Like,
an act of
it's
self-care that I have to keep plugging into.
absolutely. Because intuition is self-trust. Like, that's part of it. Part of it is, like, being so in your body, so connected to the divine, such a clear channel that you are able to trust what is coming through your literal self.
That one is probably on the top 5 of my for me around self-care and learning to decipher as messages come through. The body for me has been a big one, like something physical. I'll feel something physically, even if it's very subtle. So that's been an
Mhm.
ongoing one. And so even saying, what about you? What stands out? That one continues to stand out. And I'm surprised
Mm.
all the time. We're like, oh, there it is again. Wow. Okay. It's gotten stronger. Or, oh, it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And for those of you who wanna practice something like that at home, it can be, something that I, feel into my body to know if it's a yes or a no between, like, 2 options is if I feel like, say, I'll put my hand over one option, do I feel my body contracting? Do I feel energy rising, or do I feel energy dropping? If you feel your body contracting or energy dropping, then it's a no. If you feel your energy rising and, like, you're feeling expansive, then usually that's a yes in the body. So in
Mm,
case if you're not super tapped into your physical body, this is just kind of like a light way to start playing with it and start understanding it and start getting in relationship, a deeper relationship with your body.
great example. It
Ah,
takes practice. All of these
it
things take
does.
practice. All
Well,
of these.
you could practice I practice with Candy Crush, believe it or not. Like, I
Oh,
do, like,
why does it keep coming back to Candy Crush?
'cause I love it, 'cause I
Oh,
love it.
my God, it's so
S
cute.
so, like,
Okay.
I'll literally, like, use my intuition to decide, like, 'cause I like to rack up the gold bars, by, like, winning these competitions, 'cause I've been playing for years. And so sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, do I want to pay 10 gold bars to continue this level that I didn't beat without, like, buy extra turns, or do I want to quit and try again?" And so I'll feel into my body, and usually it happens in my face, which is interesting. So if it's a no, I'll feel energy go down here, like, into my chin
Wow.
and my mouth, and if it's a yes, the energy will, like, go up towards my temples. If it's, like, a hell yes, it'll be, like, past my temples all the way into my crown. It's fascinating. So it's just, like, getting in touch, like, once again, it's the intentionality of, like, how you do something or, like, why you do something, and it's like, this connects me to my intuition and occupies my brain. So, like, checks off 2 out of 3 of the mind,
Wow.
body, and spirit.
Huh. And how do you know when you're done playing a game? How do you draw lines around how much time you spend, how long you do for, and, like, how do you do that?
So it's a feeling of completion for me. I think
Huh.
because, like I said, I've been playing for a really long time. I think I've gone to the place where it's like, oh, like, too much. Like, I'm tired of, like, I'm dreaming of pieces of candy pieces moving around. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's one. I used to play Tetris, and I recently found
yeah,
my Tetris machine from the '80s. I'm not kidding you, it's, like, literally a Game Boy. It's amazing. You probably don't know what that is.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
anyway,
I do,
and
yeah.
also, I used to go to sleep at night when I was a teenager, and I would just see the Tetris pieces falling in, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta stop. This is not
That's a
okay.
red
This."
flag. Yeah, we've done too
Yeah, yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. So if that's what's happening to you, that's where, a line needs to be drawn, and these things need to go away for a while, probably. Give it a little. I
Absolutely.
hate the word, but I'm gonna use it because it's necessary, but we all need to detox from certain things once in a while that are becoming too much, too consuming,
Yes.
and,
Yeah. If something's like,
having. Yeah.
go ahead.
No, no, that those things can we can if we again, back to the self-care thing. Self-care means listening to your own, like you said, red flag. Listening to it. Don't override your system. That has to be listened to. Oh, I'm falling asleep with those images. Okay, that is a flag to put it away. And tending to your own messaging is vital. Not
Yes.
ignoring.
And it's like, also, I understand that it's just fun, right? Like, it's not like I don't have to be the best at it. I don't have to, like, beat all the levels at a certain time. But when it stops being fun, that's usually when you need to stop playing. The other
Mm.
thing I've noticed for myself is, like, sometimes because I'm, like, using my intuition, I tap into a really great download. Like, I got a really great download this morning. And so
Oh, yeah.
I just moved on. I just, like, went on to a different app and started to, like, work on what came through and just make that into reality. And then I'm like, okay, like, thank you, Candy Crush. Like, you gave me, like, it's obviously like a mix of things, right? Like, but it's
So
like
it's a channel for
I
you for information. It opens something up
yeah,
inside of you that helps you, yeah, open something up in you.
exactly. And so that's
That's
once
cool.
again, like, knowing yourself. Like, and for somebody else, that might not be the avenue through which they get intuition and in touch with their body. It
No,
might
it
be
probably
something
not.
else.
In fact, you'll know that it's not if you do the thing and you come to and hours have gone by and you don't know what the F has just happened.
Right.
That to me doesn't mean you're tuning in. It means you're totally numbing out.
That's a red flag. It's a red
Yes,
flag. It's
yes,
escapism. It's
yes,
not it's not
yes,
serving you. It's stopping you from
yes,
accomplishing your intentions and your goals.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so now everyone, you have some tips on how to better judge when something is going from self-care to
Yep.
self-soothing to perhaps an addictive relationship with that thing. You can have some tips and tricks of, like, how to recognize that in your body as well as spiritually. We're so happy that you're able to drop in on this conversation. This has been
Yep.
so fun. If you
Essential.
found yourself deeply feeling called to anything that we were saying, please reach out. The links are in the show notes. If you're thinking about working with me, but you're not feeling sure yet, no worries. We have sales constellations where we can do, and I love this because it's blind. So you can feel into which option feels right for you before you even know which one it is so that your brain doesn't get in the way.
Right.
So and then, of course, I will not be influencing that. You will be completely in charge of what you're feeling and communicating that and expressing that in the field. So if that sounds good to you,
Very
please
cool.
feel free to click that link. And thank you guys for coming. Bye.
Yay. That's awesome. Thank you, Tracy
Some
Ann.